We're going to look at variables and the data types as well within the Haskell programming language. So let's begin by defining a variable. That's pretty straightforward. So we give a variable a name, a in this case, equal to the value we want to set to, which is 42. Now that should be sufficient, but if we wish to be explicit the data type, we can specify that after the double colon here. So we've got int after that. So we're specifying this as an int data type, and if we are to check that that's the case, we can do type here and then do type A, and you can see that that is of type int. For very, very huge numbers, you might want to use integer. So that will be for, let's say we had something like this, a very, very large number. We would want to use integer for this as opposed to int, but in most cases int will be sufficient for your needs. For floating data types, then we can do this. We can set up variable name, and then we can set our floating point value to be like so. And again, we can just check that to make sure that C is indeed a floating point value. You can see that's a float. For increased precision, you might want to use double. So in a situation where you might have something like this, you might want to define that as a double to make sure that precision of that is more accurately represented as opposed to a float. So you'd use a double for that. So those are all the number data types. Let's now move on to characters. Now characters are just single letters, symbols, numbers, but they need to be inside single speech marks here. So it's single speech marks, and that is a character for us. So you can see that's the case. But also we can include numbers, but they're not actually numbers, but we represent them as characters here. So we could have that one as a char as well. And then strings, which are made of multiple characters, that can be just simply defined with double speech marks on either side and then the string in between that. So that's our strings and characters. And then the final data type I want to look at is Boolean. So we can have I is now, let's say, true, and we can specify that as a Boolean value here. So you can see that. And then we can just check a few of those again. So let's just check our hello, our variable h, type h here. That should be string. You can see that's the case, and we can check that for I as well. Make sure that that is also a Boolean data type. So you can see that. So data types there within Haskell.